Thank you very much. You know, about middle of last year, I was plumbing some deep data that Reuters and the BBC had cobbled together. It was a public opinion poll across the world. They asked people in a bunch of countries, questions about their media, their attitudes toward journalism. They asked the same questions in Russia that they asked in South Korea, that they asked in Zambia, that they asked in the United States of America. About 50 or 60 questions, fascinating stuff. Look it up, Reuters and the BBC. But one set of responses to one of the questions just knocked me flat. It was a simple question. In each of these countries they asked, is the media in your country free to report the truth? And you got various responses in India and South Korea. And in the United States, when Americans were asked, is the media in your country free to report the truth, 50% said no, only 30% said yes. Now, you will each, based on your own knowledge of the world, based on your interactions here at the conference, will come up with your own explanation for what exactly is going on there. Why wouldn't a reporter in America, with our Constitution, possibly not be free to report the truth? There are a lot of answers to that. And at first I was deeply depressed by that particular set of answers to that question. And then I got to thinking, maybe actually it's an interesting answer. Maybe it is some initial proof, some initial data that the great American public is starting to cotton on to all this. They're becoming skeptical. And the skepticism, I think, is probably a very, very healthy thing. And is due in large part to the efforts of all of you. So thank you very much for that effort. When Bill Moyers and I were co-anchoring Now, we got this this wonderful letter from a viewer. She says, you know, we never miss Now on Friday night. The whole family gathers around the electronic hearth and takes a moment, regardless of our schedule, to look in on what you guys have. But, you know, it's pretty grim stuff, she wrote. It's pretty grim stuff. Might you ever not consider, perhaps, doing something once in a while uplifting? In our family, we don't call you Now, we call you Kill Me Now. It's a legitimate criticism, I think, given all the bad stuff in the world that we report. So I'm on the air, in this regard, with the legendary author Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know if any of you saw that interview a while back. He's 82 or 83 years old now. He unfortunately suffers from emphysema. He says he's suing the tobacco companies. He said they promised to kill him, but he's still alive. God bless him. But if you take a look, if you go online to pbs.org/now, and you take a look, and look at the transcript of my interview, just the transcript, the words on the page, me talking to Mr. Vonnegut, it appears to be extremely downbeat. He thinks it's already too late for our country and for the world, that we've already killed the Earth. The Earth is about to, he's a science fiction writer, the Earth is about to slough us off as if we are some sort of antagonist and it has antibodies to us. It's pretty grim. But if you sit with him, and if you saw it on television, you would have seen a certain joie de vivre, a certain delight. And I was trying to get to the bottom of this. How could he be saying these things? How could he have this kind of grim worldview, yet be so engaged still? And so I asked him about this. You know, what makes life worth living, given the fact that you think it's perhaps too late? And he said, the secret to making life worth living is simply this. And he looked at me and he said, join a gang. I used to live in LA in South Central. I did, with my little family, with my kids. And, I don't take that term lightly. He said a gang. A gang, what makes life worth living is getting together with a group of people who share your commitment that you can actually make the world a better place. I think he's talking about a gang like this. Don't you think? By the way, on Vonnegut, his latest book is a collection of essays. You may have seen it, and actually some of his artwork. And in it, there's an iconic drawing that he does of himself, sort of like Alfred Hitchcock used to do, a little drawing that he does with the mustache, fuzzy hair. Right away it's Vonnegut. And I noticed that the version in the book was drawn on a random piece of stationery he seemed to have in his house. Saab of Cape Cod, Kurt Vonnegut, general manager, it said. Turns out Kurt Vonnegut, even after Slaughterhouse-Five, was selling cars on Cape Cod. And so I thought, as we were sitting down for this interview, to kind of connect with him a little bit, I asked him about this, and he said, weren't they weird cars? And I said, yeah, they were weird cars. He says, yeah, I used to go around saying they were weird cars. I think it cost me the Nobel Prize for literature. I said, how do you have that figured? He said, the Swedes, they have long memories.